guard dog. A weary groan echoed through the workstation one evening. Sir Topham Hatt had made a purchase for a new engine. His name was Barry. Barry was an old engine, dressed in rust and quite worn out. A diesel from the other railway had been ordered to deliver him to the works to be made new again. The diesel, however, was not pleased at all about the arrangement. He grumbled dreadfully as he shunted the old engine into the workshop. "Waste of time," he muttered. "A pile of old parts in the midst of my schedule? How vulgar." Barry just rolled his eyes with no retort. He had heard it all before. The diesel was still grumbling as he made his way toward the signal box. Engines from the other railway aren't recorded on the North Western's timetable. They have to wait for a path, a time when no other trains are coming or going to safely make their way back home. The diesel's path, however, never came. It shouldn't have taken long, but there the diesel sat long after the sun had set. Barry, far behind him, called out to make conversation. "Sundown was pretty, wasn't it?" "No, I'm sure I've seen you around before." "You haven't. Seen the game?" A rude growl drowned the poor engine out. "A losing battle," Barry muttered to himself, and he drifted off to sleep. It was well into the night as the diesel stood idle. He gritted his teeth with impatience. "I can't be kept waiting like this," he droned. "I have far more important things to do than play statues." His driver agreed. He wanted to get home to his supper. "You'll have to keep waiting," the signalman called. "It'd be reckless to have you stroll onto the main line all willy-nilly. There could be an accident." The diesel sulked in response. Just then the telephone rang. The signalman turned to answer it. "Now's our chance," whispered the driver. "There's a signal at the entrance to the works." He pointed ahead. "We'll sneak to the gate, then make a break for it." The diesel smirked in agreement. With the signalman occupied, the diesel crept towards the entrance. "We're going, hurrah! We're going, hurrah!" he jeered to himself in a whisper. But no sooner had he seen the gates behind him had he realised his mistake. A guard's whistle could be heard in the distance. The signals ahead had all snapped to red, and the rails beneath the diesel began to tremble. The diesel looked on in horror as a goods train, broken from its engine, sped right towards them. "Oh, help!" the diesel wailed. "I want to get out of here!" "So do I!" his driver cried out as he leapt from the diesel's cab. Unable to move, the diesel clenched his eyes tight. The speeding train battered him back into the works yard, his wheels screeching along the rails. Crew from the works ran out to see all the commotion. Barry too shot his eyes open as he saw the diesel coming towards him. The workmen cleared the area. With poor Barry nowhere to run, he braced for impact as the squealing wheels drew closer and closer until nothing happened. The diesel, no more than a few feet from his buffers, had stopped. His front end was battered, and his wheels ached terribly, but nothing was broken. The workmen cheered for the diesel, who was too afraid to open his eyes. "You brilliant soul! You've saved our engine!" one man called. The diesel's eyes opened then. He looked behind him to see Barry overjoyed. A signalman ran over. "Just what were you thinking?" he scolded the diesel. "We don't put signals up for decoration. I'd ought to stow it," the guard called out, stumbling out of the brake van. This diesel was incredibly brave. He jumped ahead of Barry like a guard dog and prevented a nasty accident. The signalman looked at the diesel. "Is this true?" he asked. "But of course!" the diesel gritted, forcing a smile. "Goodness, my apologies." The signalman turned to the crew. "Leave Barry for now. We'll have this diesel looking sharp for his journey home. It's the least we could do." It was morning when the diesel left for home. His dents were gone, but he stayed red in the face as he rode past the works. Barry called out a friendly "thank you," but the diesel would grin till he was well out of sight.